Trump has had the worst presidency in the last 20 years, and I'm absolutely convinced of that. Now, the stuff he's doing isn't necessarily bad. He's averaging around 1,500 deportations a day, and he's built 80 new miles of border walls with 400 miles reinforced. Now, that's not necessarily bad, but you have to take into account that the 1,500 deportations he's making a day, he promised 3,000 a day. The 80 miles of border wall that he built, he promised a full border wall. Now, obviously, that's better than Biden, or I guess in this case, what Kamala Harris would do. She wouldn't build any border wall. She probably wouldn't do any deportations, really. So maybe 1,500 a day is better than that, but that's not what we voted for. And then there's also stuff that's not even close to him keeping his promise. He ran off of no new wars, and now we're in the biggest war in the last 10 years. And on top of that, he promised the Ukraine war would be over before he was even in office. He said like 3 or 4 days before he's in office, the Ukraine war would end. He would completely put a stop to it. But guess what? It's still going, and it's intensifying. I think 50 civilians have died in the past week from Russian strikes on the Ukraine capital. You know what else he promised? Cheapest gas in the decade. That's one thing he promised. He said he cut electricity bills by 50% in the first, I think he said 12 days of his presidency. Well, gas prices are up 50%, and his oil production rate is lower than Joe Biden. Now, on the topic of Joe Biden, let's talk about the things he promised. He promised to rebuild America's infrastructure. Do I really agree with that? Do I think we need more roads and bridges? Not really. I think there's other things we should focus on. But he did deliver on that promise by signing a $1.2 trillion infrastructure law that will fund thousands of projects across all 50 states. So do I agree with the law and this idea of more roads and bridges and public transport? Not really, but he ran off that, and that's what the people voted for, unlike Trump. He was also running on reproducing more and more green energy. He said he would reintroduce and rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement, which he did do day one of his presidency. Unlike Trump, which he promised he would end the Ukraine war day one of his presidency, never happened. Biden, he said day one of my presidency, I'm going to join the Paris Climate Agreement again. We're going to re-sign with them. And he did that. He also passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the largest federal investment in green energy in U.S. history. Trump is also probably the most corrupt president ever, really. We saw him just buy $5 million worth of Dell. Go online and just say, buy Dell. Stock shot up 10% that day. He even just released his financials too. He made over $2 billion in crypto. $635 million of that came from the Trump coin rug pull, which essentially was just a meme coin with his name on it, the Trump coin, that he promoted on his Twitter and his Truth Social and all that stuff, said everyone go buy this. Once everyone bought it, it ripped all the way up, kept going up. Trump dumped a bunch of money, sold all of his shares, and then it went basically to zero. I think it's literally at like zero right now. So yeah, these are just my thoughts on the fucking Trump administration. The whole thing's a fucking joke. He broke every single one of his promises. Yeah, and you can't even say anything. He said he stopped mass deportations because it was too unpopular, which is literally the reason why people voted for him. He ran off of this. He said he was going to do it, people voted for it, and then he says it's unpopular. Dude, that's why he got elected. And then he goes ahead, launches the Iran war, which is the most unpopular war in 2 decades. Outside of probably the Iraq war, it's probably the most popular. I'd say maybe it's even worse than the Iraq war. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. That's the reasons I think Joe Biden was technically a better president than Trump, even though I agree with Trump on what he's doing more. But Joe Biden ran on shit and he actually did it. Trump ran on shit and then he just did the fucking opposite. So Yeah, I mean, Trump's just a joke. I don't know how people can even support him. Yeah, and I mean, also, he's the most unpopular president ever. Like, his approval rate's at an all-time low. He's just... Yeah, I mean, the whole administration's a fucking joke, bro. But that's it, bro. Hope y'all enjoyed.